video, I'm going to be using a 5mm crochet hook, and I'm also going to be using cotton yarn. All of these are by Sugar and Cream. This cone I believe is soft ecru. This is berry crush, coral, teal, and yellow, and these are the colors I'm going to be using for this video. I forgot to mention that I'm going to be using 2 add-ons. These are optional, it's just to your liking. You can use buttons instead, but I'm going to be using belt buckles that I got from Amazon for the straps, and also an elastic cord for the waistband, and you can find both of these in the description. The amount of squares you do really depends on your size and your preference, whether you want your overalls to be shorts or long pants. If you want to do the long pants way, there's also a video in my channel for that already, but if you're doing the shorts way, just follow the one that I'm going to be doing today. Since I'm a size medium, I'm only going to be using 6 squares the long way, and then I'm going to be doing 3 rows of squares, and that works perfect for me. To make my last square, I'm going to be doing a chain 2 instead of a chain 4 or a magic ring, just because a chain 4 leaves a big opening, which personally I don't like, and a chain 2 just removes that. And I'm also not using a magic ring because it is known to break off at some point, and since this is a really big project, I really wanted to have longer longevity, so that's why I'm doing a chain 2 instead of a magic ring or a chain 4. So I'm just going to start off by making a slip knot, and then I'm going to make a chain of 2. 1 and 2. After you've done that, you're going to go into the first chain that we just did, and you're going to hold the bottom over here so that it makes the opening open. So you're just going to grab the yarn and go through, and this is your little opening, and then you're going to chain 2. 1 and 2. This first chain 2 counts as our first double crochet, so now we're going to finish off the cluster. The cluster is a set of 3 double crochets, and we're going to be doing 4 sets of clusters. So you're going to yarn over, go inside the opening, grab the yarn, pull once and then pull twice, yarn over, go inside the opening, grab the yarn, pull once and then pull twice. Once you finish that cluster, you're going to make a chain 1 in between, and you're going to do it all over again. So you're going to yarn over, go in the opening, grab the yarn, pull once and twice, yarn over, go inside the opening, grab the yarn, pull once, pull twice, yarn over, go inside the opening, pull once and twice. I'm going to do this 2 more times and come back. Once you finish the other 2 clusters, you're going to go to the top stitch and then slip stitch, chain 1, and now you can just cut it off. For the second row, I'm going to go in the cluster next to the loose end, so I'm just going to go in, grab the yarn and fold it, and then pull through and chain 2. 1 and 2. This chain 2 counts as our first double crochet, so now we're going to finish off the cluster. So yarn over, go inside the opening, grab the yarn, pull once and then pull twice, and then just finish off the cluster. Once you finish off the cluster, you're going to chain 1 and make another cluster in the same opening because this is a corner. You only make 2 clusters in the same spot if it's a corner. So now you're going to make another cluster in the same spot. Once you finish that, you're going to chain 1 and make 2 clusters in the next spot. This is what our square currently looks like, and I'm going to finish this off and come back. I'm going to start my 3rd row, and I'm going to go into the gap next to the tail. So I'm just going to put my yarn and just fold it and go through and chain 2. 1 and 2. Since this is a corner, we're going to be making 2 clusters in the same spot. Now that our corner is done, in the middle we're only going to add 1 cluster because it's not a corner. In the next spot, you're going to add 2 clusters again. This is what our square looks like, and I'm going to finish off the square and show you how to tie it off. Now that my square is done, it's time to get rid of the loose ends. So what I do is I grab a random stitch in the bottom, and then I split the yarn in half so that I have 2 loose ends. One part goes underneath and the other one stays on top, and then I just tie it off. After that, for the next spot, I'm just going to go in between the stitch and pull the yarn forward, and then I'm going to go towards the back and go under the stitch and pull the yarn forward. And now you can just tie it off. You're going to repeat the same thing for the next one. And then just tie it off. And for the last one, I'm just going to go under a stitch and split the yarn in half. One goes underneath, the other one stays on top, and then you just tie it off. And now you can just cut all of them off. Now that our squares are done, it's time to do the join as you go method. The join as you go method is basically a method that adds a row to the squares and also attaches them at the same time without actually sewing them. So to make the chest part and the pants, it's 100% no sew, but obviously to attach them together, we're going to sew them up a little bit. So right now I'm going to show you how to sew the chest part, and you're going to repeat this for the shorts as well, but it's just going to be a little bit different once I get there, and I'll explain more in depth once I'm there. But to start off, you're going to do the same thing. To do the chest part, you're going to make a cluster up here, you're going to make 2 sides and attach at the bottom, and then you're going to make 3 sides, and then if there's more squares on this side, you're going to attach at the bottom and repeat this for however many squares you have. But since this is the chest portion and it's only going to be 4 squares, you're going to go all the way towards the bottom, and you're going to leave this side open because this is where we're going to finish it off. And if this is the shorts, this is where we're going to attach them together, so it makes the little opening for our legs. So once you finish that, you're going to attach at the top, make 2 sides, attach at the bottom, make 3 sides, and make a row underneath, and then finish off over here. And this is how you do the chest portion. So I'm going to grab my border color, and I'm just going to go straight in, fold the yarn and pull through like we've been doing, and then chain 2, 1 and 2. Now you're going to make 1 cluster instead of 2. So you're going to make 2 double crochets. Then you're going to chain 1, and you're going to continue making clusters until you reach this bottom corner. Once you have your 2 sides done, this is where we're going to attach the other color. So to do that, I'm just going to yarn over, just like making a double crochet, and then you're just going to go to a bottom corner and grab the yarn and pull twice, 1 and 2. And now you're just going to finish off that cluster. Once you've done that, this is what it should look like, and then you're just going to fold this in half. And now we're going to slip stitch in the back and make a cluster in the front. You're going to make a slip stitch in the back and then make a cluster in the front. Slip stitch in the back and make a cluster in the front. And since this is a corner, this is also our last slip stitch. So you're going to slip stitch and then finish off the corner. So this is what it looks like, and the seam literally matches the stitch. And now I'm just going to finish this off and get to the bottom corner over here, and then I'll show you what to do next. This is what your square should look like at this point, and I'm only going to explain the no sew method one time just because it'll be extremely redundant since we're going to repeat the same method throughout the whole entire project. If you're doing your shorts portion, you're just going to keep adding squares until it reaches your waist size, and if it doesn't fit, either add or remove one and just play around with it and see what works best for you. If you're doing the leg sleeve, personally, I'm only going to be doing 4 squares, and that works best for me. And if it doesn't work for you, either remove or add one. And again, just play around with it and see what works best for you, because this is a project that is really heavily dependent on your preference and your measurements. So I'm going to show you how to finish off this square, and you're going to repeat this for the rectangle portion of your shorts, and then I'll come back and show you how to attach the pants leg to the pants. So to finish off this first row, I'm going to make a row of clusters at the bottom, and I'm going to leave this side empty. To finish off this row, I'm just going to go on the bottom and just make regular clusters until I reach this part. Once I reach this part, it's going to be 1 single crochet. This is what my first square is looking like, and now that I'm at that gap, I'm going to make 1 single crochet, and then you're just going to make clusters until you reach this corner. This is what it should look like at this point. And now we're going to start our second row, and to do that we're going to do the same thing we did previously. So you're going to yarn over, go into a corner, and pull twice, 1 and 2. Now you're going to finish off this cluster, and that's what it looks like. And now you're going to fold it in half, slip stitch, and finish off until you reach the corner. Make sure that you're slip stitching in the back, that way it gets attached to the top. If not, you're going to have a floating square. So now we're going to attach this twice, and we're going to attach it to the corner and also the middle portion. And to do that, for the corner I'm going to make 1 slip stitch, and for the single crochet that we did in the previous row I'm going to add another single crochet, and now that's attached twice to the corner and the gap in between. And now we're going to finish off the cluster, and this part is not going to be attached to anything. So this is what your square should be looking like right now. And now I'm going to attach my last square of this section. I'm going to attach at the bottom, go to the top, attach twice over here, and then finish it off like normal. And then I'll show you how to finish off the square for this portion. So I'm going to yarn over and grab a corner, and again you're just going to finish off the cluster. You're going to fold this in half, and you're going to be doing slip stitches in the back, clusters in the front, and repeat the same pattern of slip stitching in the back and making clusters in the front until you reach the corner. Once you're at the corner, you're going to slip stitch, and once you've done that, where the single crochet is from the previous row, you're going to add another single crochet. And now you're going to finish off this cluster over here, and now this cluster is attached to everything. To make a slip stitch in the back, and this is how you continue attaching everything to itself. So now I'm going to continue making clusters in the front and slip stitches in the back until my row ends. Once you reach the corner, you're just going to work your way down and finish off the square. If you're at the shorts portion, you're actually going to be attaching this to the other side, and once I reach that section I'll explain more in depth. But for the chest part, we're just going to finish off the square itself. This is what my square is looking like, and now I'm just going to finish off my last cluster, and then I'll be able to start my row of single crochets. So I'm just going to chain 1 and slip stitch, and then just make a round of single crochets. And then once you reach the corner, you're going to add 3 single crochets, and once you finish that I'll come back. We have one side left, and this part I'm going to add the little holes that I'm going to place the straps in. You don't have to do this is optional. You can also just put the straps and add a button or something, just switch it up to your preference. But I'm going to make my straps about 5 inches wide, so I'm going to make a chain length of 4 stitches, and then I'm just going to make a single crochet, and this is where my strap is going to be placed. And now you're going to continue making single crochets until you have 1 cluster left, and you're going to repeat the same thing we did on this side. And then I'm going to add another row of single crochets so that this is not as skinny and it becomes a little bit more thick. And once I finish that, I'll come back. This is what my square looks like after I did the strap holes and I did single crochets over them. Now it's very discreet and very thick. So I'm going to show you the sequence I'm doing for my shorts, and then I'm going to repeat the same thing. I'm just going to do 2 rows, and every row is going to have 6 squares, and then I'll show you how to attach it and make the waistband and everything else. But you're going to repeat the same method we've been doing this entire time. This is sort of the layout I'm going for with my shorts. So the top 6 squares, that's basically my waist and my private parts portion, and then these 4 down here, that's the shorts pant legs. And obviously if you're doing more, you're going to have more squares, but I'm going to do the same thing we did for the squares but as a rectangle for these 2 rows, and then I'll come back and show you how to tie it together and do the waistband and then attach the pant legs at the bottom. If you ever get stuck, just go back and rewatch it until you get it. So I am back and I just finished 2 rows of my shorts. I currently have 12 squares used up, and now I'm going to show you how to put all of this together so that we can get ready and add the pants leg. To attach this together, we're going to repeat the same thing we've been doing. So you're going to make a slip stitch in the back, and you're going to finish off this cluster because it's a corner, and you're going to do the same thing we did for the bottom row. And when you get to this spot over here, it's just going to be 1 single crochet. And once I finish attaching all of this together, I'll show you how to start up the waistband. I'm at the top, so I'm just going to make a slip stitch in the corner from the previous row, and then I'm going to slip stitch again, and then this is where I'm going to start my single crochet row. So I'm just going to do a quick round of single crochet to smoothen everything out, and the second row of single crochets will be a decreasing row. Now that I finished my first round of single crochets, this part is really up to you and your preference. I'm going to decrease to my fit, and the way you decrease is you're going to make a single crochet and then you're not going to fully finish it off. Then you grab another one and then fully close it off together. I really don't keep track of how many decreases I do. I usually try to do about 1 or 2 per square, and that usually works out for me. And once I finish that, I'll come back. But again, you're going to be decreasing to your fit, so if the amount of decreases I do doesn't work for you, try to remove some and just continue making regular rounds and just play around with it and see what works best for you. Once I finish this, I'll come back and show you how to do a treble crochet around. That way our strap will go in there and it'll look nice and detailed and textured. Now that I finished my 2 rounds of single crochets, I just tried it on and it works perfectly for me. And later on, I'm going to add an elastic band just because it makes the waistband a little bit more stretchy and holds its shape for over time. To start our 3rd row, we're going to do treble crochets, which is basically a double crochet with an extra loop. So you're going to yarn over twice, you're going to go into the stitch, pull once, twice, and a 3rd time. Yarn over twice, go inside the opening, grab the yarn, pull once, twice, and a 3rd time. And you're going to repeat this for the rest of this round, and then after you finish this, you're going to add 2 more rows of single crochets, and then our waist part will be done. After you finish that, we're going to add our drawstring, and I'm going to put it in with a tapestry needle, but if you don't have one, that's okay. You can also use a crochet hook for that. But I'm just going to go in and out of every single treble stitch, and this is basically how it's going to end up looking. And I really like how it stands out and it gives it a little bit of texture. Now that this is done, I'm going to flip it inside out, and I'm going to add the elastic cord now that I know where the drawstring is. And I'm going to grab a smaller hook size than what I was originally using. That way it's easier to hold the elastic cord a lot better. So the way I do that is I'm going to go behind the stitch and I'm going to tie it up. So you're going to grab the back loops of the stitches only, that way it doesn't show through the front. And I'm adding it at the bottom since the middle already has a strap, and this is going to be attached at the top, so it's just going to be secured all throughout. And I just go through the back loops and I make single crochets all around. And once I finish that, I'll come back and show you how to add the pants leg. So I just started working on the pants leg, and notice how one side is empty and the other one is not. This is because we're going to attach this to the top, and then we're going to work our way down to finish off with 2 rows of single crochet to smoothen everything out. And because the last color of my square is yellow, it's going to clash with the square I have in the front, so I'm actually going to flip this and I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to start off by making a single crochet in the gap over here, and then I'm going to finish off this corner. Once you finish that corner, you're going to slip stitch in the back and make clusters in the front, and you're basically going to repeat the same thing we've been doing this entire time. And once I finish attaching this, I'm going to meet you back and show you how to close it off. This is what your short portion should look like, and you should have 3 squares attached, and this one is just going to be a floating square, and it's just not going to be attached to anything because this is what creates our little pant leg and also the cross section in the crotch area. So I'm going to make regular clusters on top of this square, and I'm just going to finish it off like normal, and then I'm going to go down on the side and I'll show you how I get into that. Once you finish that, now it's time to attach this side to the other side, and I'm just going to create a slip stitch over here in the little gap, and then I'm just going to finish off the cluster, and then you're going to make clusters in the front and make slip stitches in the back just like we did earlier. Now that we're finishing, I'm going to make a slip stitch in the last side and then one more time over here. And then now to smoothen everything out, I'm just going to make 2 rounds of single crochets and then I'll meet you back. This is what one of the pants looks like, and then this is the opening for the leg. So now we're going to do the same thing for the other side. Just finished attaching my last pant leg, and now I'm going to attach it where the inside of our thigh is, just because if I do it in another way, it's just going to make the squares match. So I'm just going to go over here and make a single crochet, and then I'm just going to finish off the cluster. Once you finish off the cluster, you're going to repeat the same thing we've been doing this entire time. So you're going to make a slip stitch in the back, and then you're going to make clusters in the front. And once you do that, you're going to end it off just like the first one, and then I'll meet you back to sew on the chest part and work on our straps. This is what your shorts should be looking like, and this is where our inner thighs go. And now we're going to attach the chest part to the front. Before you attach it, make sure that this square is backwards and facing to you so that the front part is in the right way, and then also make sure that this is aligned to the bottom. And now we're going to take a tapestry needle and sew it together. I'm going to go to this corner over here, and I'm going to pull all my yarn through and tie it up. I'm going to be doing a whip stitch, but you can use any sewing method that you like. But to do a whip stitch, you're basically going to go over instead of going in and out like a zigzag. So I'm just going to go into the stitch and then bring the needle forward. And I'm going to repeat this for the rest, and then I'll show you how to get rid of the other loose end once I reach there. Before you finish off the last stitch, you're going to go through the loop and you're going to tie it up. Then you're going to do that one more time. So you're going to go underneath and make sure you put your needle underneath the hook so that it ties it up. Now that we have a knot in place, I'm just going to go under, and I'm going to make sure that I'm going through the loops that I created. Then I'm just going to pull it all the way through. You can actually just cut it off and leave it like that, or you can just split the yarn and make a knot over there, and now it's just extra secure. Now that this is done, I'm going to make one of the straps and then come back. I just finished one of the straps, and it's really simple to do. This is just single crochets. I didn't keep track of how many rows I did, but the measurement of this is 36 inches, and obviously you're going to replicate this to the other side. To start this off, you're going to align it with the squares in the front, and to do that, you're just going to go to the back and notice where the corner is. You're going to follow it till this treble stitch, and you're going to count 5. So I'm just going to put my yarn in, and I'm going to make a knot, and then I'm going to make the tail a little bit long so we can crochet over it. And in this spot, I'm just going to add 1 single crochet. And then in the next 4, I'm also going to make single crochets. Then after you do that, you're going to flip your work, and you're just going to make single crochets back and forth until you reach 36 inches. I'm just going to show you how to put in the belt buckle with the straps. So first off, you're going to put the belt buckle at the bottom, and you're just going to weave it through, and you're going to go and put the strap through this gap that we made, and you're going to go underneath where we put the beginning of the strap. And this is a little bit tight, so you do have to pinch it. And now this is our first loop, and then you're just going to do that one more time, and boom, this is how you put the belt buckle in, and then it's secure and nice. And once you have this on, you just put the other one in, and then you just adjust it to your liking. This is the final result, and I'm absolutely obsessed with how it came out. I think it's super cute, and I can't wait to make another one with daisies. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next week.